Hello and welcome to a show that actually made it live on Twitter this time. It's March to the Pod. It's our second season, episode 4, and we're still figuring out things as it happens. Today, we're talking about a very historic win for the soccer program. We got some football predictions. We're going to take a look at the new turf at Bowers, and Ben brought some notes on the roster as they exit fall camp and start to get ready for the season. I'm your host and producer. Doesn't always do a great job. His name is Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU. Again, all one word. You'll find that on Twitter and Instagram. Chief Operating Officer of the Cat Fund and proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. And Ben, we're going to start this week. Before I go to you, we got receipts. Okay? A couple weeks ago, we had a little bit of a preview on the women's soccer team. I just want to remind people what you said. Here it is.
Last year, that went 6-7-4, so right around 500, 3-3-2 in conference play, so right at 500, maybe a little more than 500, and returns a lot. Returns probably your top 2 goal scorers. Added a couple really nice pieces in the portal, and I think Sonia Carvello in her 3rd year has really established, or is really going to establish her culture and what she wants to do. She's always been a winner wherever she's been, so I think this is a team that is either they made the conference semifinal last year, had a chance to tie it, I believe, in the 85th minute and lost. And so I think it's a team that's going to make the conference tournament final.
Well, I mean, let's give you some flowers. A big 3-1 win over Houston. And, boy, you look pretty smart quick this time.
Yeah. And, soccer, I've pretty much been dead on the last 2 years. Our preview episode last year, I think I said they finished 5th, and I think they finished exactly 5th, made it to the conference semifinals, and then I predicted them to make the conference final this year. Felt very good about the roster and what it looked like. So very encouraged to see what we've seen so far.
We are going to get into some highlights from that win because that win really is historic for the soccer program. But you know who else doesn't miss? Eternal Roofing. Ben, our friends over at Eternal Roofing do not miss. And you want to visit them for any of your roofing and general contracting needs. Let me tell you a little of what you're going to get. You're going to get fast, friendly service. All right. They're not going to pressure you with any of these sales pitches. They're very, very professional. They have exceptional workmanship warranties. And Ben, it's August 21st. It's time to start thinking about those Christmas lights a little bit. Get on that calendar.
Yep. You probably only got 2, maybe 3 months at this point. We were just saying 9 months, what felt like yesterday. So you got to get on it.
Oh, seriously, I imagine they fill up by September, and that's, 10 days away now.
Right. I think I remember last year they said they had 1 spot open, and that was sometime in the middle of early to mid-November. So, yeah, they definitely fill up quick.
So get on that list if you need any sort of roofing, general contracting, or Christmas lights. Call our friends over at Eternal Roofing. You can get a hold of them, Montgomery County. You see it if you're watching on the screen. We want to say thank you, and you can see the number there, area code 830-251-5673. That's actually in the Hill Country. If you want Montgomery County office, let me give you that one too. It's area code 936-215-8539. You can also email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. We're off to another rousing start here, Ben, with the producer doing producey things.
Hey, just keeping it going, staying consistent.
That's right. Consistently bad. At least if you know it's going to be bad, you can prepare for it.
Yep. And I wonder what rant we'll get into this week after our Little League rant last week.
Dude, Texas just moved on to the American final, to the U.S. final.
Did they play tonight or today?
They did. They just beat Nevada like right before we started the show. They ended it.
There we go.
So they go on Saturday. They play in the U.S. Championship game, and they haven't lost, so they have a real pitching advantage going into that one. And if they win that one, then Sunday they will meet whoever comes from one of these other countries, to see who the world champion is. So congrats to them. It's the Bernie Little League, I believe it is.
Bernie, yep.
Hey, Bernie, you know where that is?
Not exactly Austin area, but not exactly where in the Austin area.
It's in the Eternal Roofing coverage area.
If you're a Bernie fan, you know where to go.
You know where to go. Go to Eternal Roofing and go Bernie Little League representing the Southwest. And I noticed in softball it was a Louisiana team. I was a little upset by that. We might have to fire our coaches in Little League softball.
Just get rid of all of them, the whole state.
So anyway, in case you forgot, the Cats soccer team played Houston last week. And let me tell you, they entered 0-9 all time against Houston. They had never beaten a Big 12 foe. In fact, they hadn't beaten a Power 4, Power 5 opponent since they beat Mississippi State 1-0 in overtime in 2006. But boy, did they take it down. And we're going to start it. They gave up the first goal. I think it was the 11th minute is when the first goal was scored by Houston. But then the Cats came storming right back. And here's Gabrielle Williams' first collegiate goal in the 29th minute. You're going to see it here. And what really gets me, this one was assisted by Tiana Johnson. The pass right there to get her free, and then that first touch, Ben, was just gorgeous.
Oh, I know. And Tiana is a veteran. She was a transfer that came in last year. So veteran to newcomer, first collegiate goal, great pass. Like you said, the first touch was incredible to get it out in front of her, keep the momentum going. And it was really cool to see. Great response too after a slow start.
It was. Boy, let me put it back up there and watch the replay as it shows her burying it home right past the keeper, which is another thing of this, right? Like we talk about the pass, it's great. The first touch is great, but finishing is something that is really tough to do. And she did that beautifully right there.
Yeah. I mean, really impressive first collegiate goal. And I think there were two, I know we'll get to it, but the third goal by Jasmine Dybala, that was her first goal too, as well, I believe.
Well, there was not video of that one that was posted on social. So
that one actually, you could find that one on the Bearcat Sports website. They put together some clips and published it yesterday. Did you see how that goal happened?
No, I didn't. That was one because I tried to go on their sports network, but I don't know if it was fully uploaded yet. And so I couldn't get to it, and I haven't had the time to go back and check.
It was incredible. It was a corner kick, bent it beautifully. And just the slightest little tap of the head, hit off the head of Jasmine right into the goal. I mean, it might have even gone in without the head tap. She just bent it so well from that corner kick. It was beautiful.
That's awesome. Who kicked
it? So Pam Murray did. So in that clip that we talked about in the Open, I mentioned the top two goal scorers from last year. So Pam Murray was one of them. She had that corner kick, obviously a big moment. And then Landry Townsend scored that second goal. So your two biggest threats to score really coming up big there in some big moments.
We'll get to Landry's goal here in a minute. And we do have video of that one. But first, we got to talk about the goaltending. The defense was pretty solid after giving up that first goal. But let me tell you, Cassia Souza, 8 saves, big time saves. And this one right here that we're going to put up might be the biggest of all. First off, bad turnover. Okay. Second off, great job of just running after them and closing down the windows for her to shoot. She just got in front of that ball and knocked it off to the side.
Yeah. And then a great job by the defense to clear it also. There was a lot of balls that Souza was able to get to on Sunday night, but the defense did have to come in and kind of clean it up, and they did a good job there as well. I know Sonia Cabello in her press conference that I was in yesterday, talked about how they want to keep it a little cleaner in front of her. She made a lot of good saves, but you can't always depend on those kind of saves to win it for you. So she did really good. And speaking of Souza, she was actually named a captain after the game on Monday. So Curvella talked about that in the press conference as well. So really big performance from her.
Well, congratulations to Cassia Souza, and well earned. When you've got a goalie that can do things like that, that is a big help, because sometimes your back end does break down. Let's just face it. I mean, it happens to all of us, Ben. Sometimes I start walking, my back end breaks down. It's just how it works. Horrible jokes. Horrible. Let's get on back to the soccer. Landry Townsend, 80th minute. This was the go-ahead goal. And as we watched this one here, it was kind of headed not really well. Kind of kicked around a little bit. Then she got it, and just that floater over the head of the goalie, right close into the upper 90. Like, that smile says it all. She's like, yeah, that was a nice kick.
Yeah, I mean, that's one if the goalie stood there and knew what was coming. I don't even know if she gets to it. She just slid it right under the crossbar. And yeah, Landry Townsend's been one of the best players on this team for 5 years now. I tweeted out after the game, she's probably one of the best players in school history, 8th in goals, 3rd in career assist, and she's only 7 or 8 shots away from being in the top 10 in shots attempted. So that's what you expect from her, and she's a playmaker. That's what Sonia Curvelo talked about in her press conferences. She just has a knack for creating opportunities, and so we definitely saw that there with that goal.
She created that one out of thin air. 14th career goal for Landry Townsend. Like you said, tied for 8th in school history in goals scored. And just, the goalie played that one. The keeper played that as well as you could. The keeper timed to jump well. It was a perfectly placed ball into the back of the net.
Yep, right under the crossbar. When I saw it live, I thought it was going to go over, and then it hit the net, and I was like, that's unbelievable.
That thing let's go back and play it again just to see how that ball kind of just curved into, and again, the first touch settled the ball down. The ball never got higher than the crossbar either.
Right, and it looked like the goalie might have even gotten a hand on it, but it was in the goal by the time she did.
Goalie did the best she could have done. She did the best she could in that situation. Is that a CJ Stroud jersey you're wearing?
It is, yep. I mean, the white's getting blurred out, but it is.
Well, I'm not sad. No, CJ Stroud's a great young quarterback, man. Texans have themselves a good team. Hey, speaking of the Texans and playing down there in NRG, you know what? I probably had heard it and knew it and forgot all about it, but guess what will be down there in the soccer stadium where Texas Southern plays their home football games this year?
In the soccer stadium where Texas Southern plays their football games?
Yeah, the Houston Dynamo. They have a stadium. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the Dynamo. That's where Texas Southern. Okay. I'm tracking now.
Yeah, that
Shell Stadium.
Shell Energy Stadium. That is the name of it. Yeah, see, that's what was slipping my mind there. Shell Energy Stadium, it will be the host of the NCAA Division III National Championship this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know it was in my backyard for a while. I went to Oak Ridge, so it was at Woodforest Bank there for 2 or 3 years. That's where my high school played, so got to see a little bit of that.
I was there for one of those.
I wasn't, but I knew it was happening because I had a high school teammate playing for Mount Union, so
it was 41 degrees with a very nice, strong Texas wind and raining, and just miserable for my wife and son outside. However, inside the press box, it was a gorgeous 72 up there. As
great spread too.
Took care of Mount Union.
Was there a great spread too while you were up there?
Oh yeah, it always is, right? They do national championship games. I had good food, and you know, not that I'm bragging, not that I want to sleep in my own bed tonight or anything.
No.
Why would I want to do that? That would be crazy. Hey, speaking of crazy, guess what's out now, Ben? We're no longer on the pre-order area. It's Dave Campbell's Guide to Texas College Football, written by our own Mike Craven. He went to one football game each of the 13 weeks last year of 13 FBS teams. Inside this thing, you've got team history, you've got places to eat, you've got everything you need to know as a fan for all 13 FBS teams. It is shipping now. So if you've pre-ordered yours, you'll have yours really soon. Go to texasfootball.com and order yours today. It is a limited edition. We also want you to know that we are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the various social media platforms, which now we're live on most of them, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at March to the Pod. It's all one word. March, the number 2, the Pod. And if you're on Threads and you can't find us on March to the Pod, find us on the March, number 2, the Pod. And as always, well, let's just change that over. Hey, look at that. We also would invite you to subscribe to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. All access package is only $49.95 for an entire year. You get every magazine before and well before it hit newsstands this summer. Complete digital access to over 1,300 and growing live Texas high school football games that the list of schools just continues to grow. We have amazing people working on that behind the scenes. And then you get access to the premium content covering every college and high school in the state. Listen, it's just the way of the world. The free stuff is going away and more of it's becoming behind a paywall, Ben. So you might as well get on there. But if you tell me $49.95 be a little pricey for you, I get that. You can get the print only where you get both magazines, or you can get the digital plus where you get everything on digital. And let me also tell you, if you get the digital plus right now for $39.95 for a year, you go to the archive tab of the website and you can find every magazine ever printed by Dave Campbell's Texas Football right there. It's a heck of a deal. Can't beat it. We would greatly appreciate your support. And again, texasfootball.com/subscribe. But that's not all we got to talk about, Ben. We need to talk about our friends over at Eternal Roofing one more time. Taylor and his crew, I told you earlier about the detailed, fast-free roof inspections and all that good stuff. They do general contracting work, but what does that even mean? That means that they can paint the interior, exterior of your home or business, install your gutters or garage doors, install any floors, perform any woodworking need, crown molding, shelf work, repair your sheetrock, and, you know, they're just the place to go. I want to tell you right now, go to eternalroofingtx.com. Find that gallery. You will see amazing things. The work they do is just incredible. Again, eternalroofingtx.com. They have a gallery. You can also from there email Taylor@eternalroofingtx.com if you need anything when it comes to roofing or general contracting needs. If you're in the Montgomery County office, that's area code 936-215-8539. Hill Country, area code 830-251-5673. We are very thankful. Ben, can you believe it's almost been a year that we've been partnered with Eternal Roofing?
Yeah. 2 more weeks, I guess, until it'll be official.
Yeah, well, it's coming up at the end of the month here that it will be officially the 1-year anniversary of our partnership with Eternal Roofing. So that we are very, very happy and looking forward to continuing that partnership into the future.
Yeah, that's what the rumor mill says.
Rumors, dude, sources indicate. All right.
Yeah. Sources with an S.
That's right. Multiple. So if you put multiple sources, that's where you know it's for real.
Right.
Hey, did you know the turf project at Bowers is finally done?
I did, and I was there for day 1 of it. Day
1 on the new turf. Let's just throw up a picture of the new turf here. That is a picture of it, but we're going to give you the video. The Sam Houston football account had a video that we're going to show you right here, going from no turf to turf. It's crazy how that happens.
Right. It was a quick process once they started to put it down. It was right at about a week from first turf going in to the turf being done.
Well, the delay was not anything to do with the school's fault on this one. Right. This was one of those things. Weather had to do with it. And then, like Bobby had said in an earlier interview, once you start digging into ground, you find some things you didn't know were there before. They got to get fixed.
Right. And then you've got hurricanes and wind and rain and all that into the equation. And yeah, there's a lot to figure out.
It's been a very eventful summer in the Huntsville area.
It has. And they're actually replacing one of the goalposts too. They posted a picture of that. So that's an upgrade. And I know maybe not a lot of people, but some people were frustrated that the team had to go to Huntsville High School for 85-90% of training camp. But Keeler talked to me about it on Saturday, and he talked about it in his presser this week too. It was almost a blessing. They play 8 of their 12 games anywhere from 5 p.m. or later. And so all of the practices were either at 4 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So they're used to the heat. They're ready for it. And I know Rice has been practicing at 7 a.m. and walking out of freezer trucks and walking back into a freezer truck after practice to cool off. And Sam Houston's been out there at 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the peak of the heat in the day. So they're used to the heat, and I think that could be an advantage in week 1.
What was it Keeler said in his press conference yesterday, that every adversity is an opportunity or something like that?
Obstacles and opportunity. Yeah.
Every obstacle's an opportunity, that really is his outlook on everything. Yeah. Everything is turned into an opportunity. And so no surprise that he did it with this. And you know what? We'll see. He might be right. They might have later in the afternoon, evening practices next fall camp. I'm sure at the hottest time of day, the players would really be happy to hear that's a possibility.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure I'll be excited to hear about it too with practices at that time. The 101 degrees at the start of practice on Saturday was lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. Football does start this Saturday.
It does.
And I'll be at a 2:30 p.m. game in Stephenville.
Oh, Tarleton.
And I'm not going to be in the press box the whole time. I'm going to be down on the field and walking through the stands a little bit. So I just interested to see how that goes, because it's going to be a little cooler around this area. It's been in the 108 to 110 range. Yeah. It's going to be dropped about 10 degrees for Saturday. So that is a good thing. And it is noticeable.
Only 98, 99. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, what's wrong with that? One thing I want to mention about the turf again that we now see it is how well they did. They did a great job of submitting that turf concept to the college football 25 game, so to get it into the game, because that kind of realism really does matter.
It does. Yeah. And it's literally the exact same thing. And I had a feeling that it was going to be what it was in the game, and I had heard that, but to actually see it come to life was pretty cool.
Hey, look, you could tell me one thing, but you got to prove to me at some point.
Yeah, right. And you always know plans change. It could have ended up being black, white, and orange, or who knows what it could have been.
Speaking of plans changing, there were some future scheduling plans changing this week, and Sam Houston added a game September 26, 2026, Jones AT&T Stadium against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and that is a refurbished Jones Stadium coming up there. The most interesting thing to me about this, Ben, is $1 million payout. The payout's a little more than when you were an FCS team.
Oh, yeah, a lot more. And it's right in line with what you had for BYU and UCF. I think BYU is $900,000. UCF was $1.1 million. Tech's right there in the middle of it. So $1 million payout, pretty good payday.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that is nice. That will pay for some things. Also, I want to mention, too, that Darren Keeler's press conference yesterday, which I didn't clip any of it because we do have quite a bit to go over in today's show. But he did mention that Don Sanders had donated to feed the team pretty much the entire summer. And that nutrition is very important because, for these guys, these athletes, it's for most of us in the United States, it's about trying to get weight off. For these guys, a lot of it's about trying to keep weight on when you're in 100-degree heat.
Yeah, it's a big thing between Don Sanders' donation and the money that was raised at the auction. It makes a huge difference. Nutrition, education resources, stipend money. It covers a lot of different things, and Don's specific donation covering a lot of the post-practice nutrition is really big. And I know, talking to the staff, a lot of the guys, especially guys that have been there a while, really appreciate kind of the new stuff that's coming on board because they've been here 3, 4, 5 years and they know what it used to be like. And so things are slowly changing. Things will get there, but yeah, definitely getting those meals and post-practice nutrition has been a big deal.
They also talked about how the extra room they have. And at first thought, I was like, okay, along the sidelines. And then I remembered you basically, when you have a track installed at your football stadium, you lose that end zone behind the goalpost all the way back there, usually. Now they have all that extra room. It really does make a big difference for the team.
And I think the biggest difference, too, is a lot of the long jump and other track events were also on the side of the sidelines. And so if you, I don't know, got pushed out of bounds and maybe went 3 or 4 yards out of bounds, there's a very real chance you could have twisted your ankle in a big hole. And so avoiding that, I think, is also a really big plus.
Yeah, usually. Usually it is. Hey, they had a scrimmage last week, the second one and final one, I'm guessing, of fall camp.
Yeah.
As they now turn their attention to getting ready for the Rice Owls, who themselves are getting brand new turf. And so that'll be 2 new turfs that the Bearcats get to start out the year with. Couple of things. First off, maxed out 85 scholarships. That is important because, as we saw last year, depth was an issue. The only way depth will not be an issue is if you can max out those 85 scholarships continually. So doing it now is big. You'll see the payout of this in 2 to 3 years, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I was talking to Keeler about the roster on Saturday, and depth was the very first thing he brought up. He said a lot of NFL guys have come in the spring and during camp, and first thing they say is this team is so much deeper. And he pointed to, I mean, we're maxed out at our scholarship money. We don't have anything left. We've paid it all out. So they're fully maxed out at that 85 scholarships. And last year, I think it was probably around 75, but a 10-person difference is huge. It's almost an entire starting unit worth of players. So adding those 10-ish scholarships this year is going to help the depth a lot. And I think people are starting to see it.
I think so. And we have predictions later on, and I know that some are thinking Corey's going to go under again this year because he did last year and it worked. I don't know about that. All right, don't be negative Nancy over here. I try to give a realistic view, and realistically, I also think that they are deeper this year and that they will be able to compete against these teams a little longer than they did last year. How much longer is the question we'll answer in the next segment. But before we get there, Ben, we need an update on this quarterback situation. What you got?
Yeah, I was there Saturday. Everything was split 50-50 with the first team reps with Jace Bauer and Hunter Watson. And so here the decision should be made soon, but I know they're probably not going to announce anything till game day. So it's going to be one of those 2 guys, but expect the depth chart to say Bauer or Watson. Wouldn't be surprised to even see if they threw Gunnell's name in there also with the Oars. And so going to come down to those 2 guys. I thought both looked good when I was there. I think it's apparent that Hunter Watson looks healthy. I think he's good to go, which is a good sign. And so now that he's fully healthy, you kind of see what he's looked at or looks like. I think the team can start to make a decision heading into game day.
Okay. So I listened to the press conference. And someone was just glowingly bragging on the offensive line. I'm not sold. We know that, right? I'm just not sold. That is one place that takes time to get the depth you need, because 7 is not enough usually in this day and age of college football with the number of injuries that will happen. What is the update on the O-line, and how many starting positions are still kind of up for grabs?
I think at this point we know the starting five. I'm pretty confident in saying Luke Eckert is the left tackle, and he's kind of solidified himself there. Took the majority of the first team reps when I was there on Saturday, so pretty confident saying Luke Eckert's going to get that left tackle spot. Similar to last year and what it looked like at the end of last year, at least, I think the pass blocking I feel very confident in. I think my only question is what does the run blocking look like? That was a big concern most of last year. I think it's still somewhat of a concern. It's definitely going to be better than what it was last year just because it can't really be worse. So feel good about the pass blocking, but even I'm still a little TBD, to be determined on what the run blocking looks like. But like I said, I think this is going to be a middle of the line Conference USA offensive line. It's going to be the fifth or sixth best line, but I think that's a big upgrade over being the ninth or 10th best like you were last year.
Yes. Now get some discipline, and we will be in great shape. I'm going to exit the solo layout there so that people can see me and not just hear it's like God's voice. So one person you have said the coaches have been just raving about every time you talk to them, and you mention him almost weekly, and surprise, Keeler brought his name up in the press conference yesterday. Denver Warren is a guy on that defensive line they just expect to cause havoc.
Yeah, and this is a guy, he didn't play a ton last year at New Mexico State. Part of that was just because that was a very good New Mexico State team. They had a lot of veterans there. And he was a little younger, but played 37 snaps, I think Keeler told me on Saturday, and had 6 tackles. And so when he was in there, he was producing, and man, he's really developed this offseason. I think they really kind of found a gem there on the interior at a position of need. And so he's definitely going to slot in as one of the 2 tackles there on the defensive line. And I would expect a lot out of Denver Warren, and he looked good on Saturday when I was there.
I also heard a Chris Murray from Wichita Falls reference during the press conference as being possibly a starting end.
And that's another name that I was talking about, right?
That is. But you don't always say from Wichita Falls, which is really disappointing.
Keeler didn't say it either, so.
Yeah, but I don't expect him to. He don't care.
I'll try to plug it with him next time I see him. But yeah. Chris,
if you tell Keeler, hey, next press conference, that anytime you mention Chris Murray, say from Wichita Falls, I swear I'll clip it and have it on the show. I don't know if that matters, but it would be hilarious.
It would be very funny. But yeah, I think Isaiah Nixon, Keeler talked about him. We all know he's going to be your game wrecker, probably your best edge defensive lineman guy. And it's coming down to Chris Murray and Javon Leon there at the other edge position. I think Murray's actually got a little bit of a slight edge. Little play on words there. He's got a little bit of an edge over Leon at the edge position. But I've been telling people this. I've been writing this in our exclusive forum. Just because a guy gets listed as a starter, especially if it's between Murray and Leon, doesn't mean the other guy's not going to play. Keeler is known for substituting D linemen almost every play. Any chance he can get, wants to control the clock now that you can match substitutions. And so he's going to rotate a lot of guys in, especially on the edge, because you are pretty deep at the edge position. Not as deep at tackle, but I would expect to see a lot of guys rotate there at the edge position.
Look, a lot of positions in football nowadays, if you're on they have a 2 deep for a reason, because at least 2 deep is going to be playing in those games at most every position. You know, D defensive back, maybe not as much. Linebacker will rotate out some. D-line all the time. On the offensive side, obviously the O-line, quarterback, you try not to rotate them out if you don't have to, but anyone else gets rotated. I mean, that's just the way the football works anymore. You got to keep people fresh.
Yeah, and that's where depth comes into play. And last year, I think you had 8 or 9 D-linemen that you could comfortably run out there, that being both the edge and tackle position. This year, I think you can go 10 to 11. And so that's kind of where the depth comes in. I don't know if you're that much better talent-wise. I think the talent is pretty comparable, but you can definitely go 2 or 3 more deep than you could last year.
Yes, and that is a good thing. Also, did you know that the NCAA is allowing the FBS and only the FBS to have helmet communication this year. And Tavion Gaither, surprisingly, will have the helmet communication for the defense.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise. I know Keeler.
I was shocked.
Right. I know Keeler said back in April at the conclusion of spring in his press conference that Kavian would be the guy. I had posted it during the spring, talking about it again. So he's going to be the guy. And it was interesting seeing the equipment guys setting up the communications equipment there on the sideline for KG and the quarterbacks, because they had been at Huntsville. Then they had to reinstall it there at Bowers. And they've got to be 30, 35 yards apart at least and facing a certain direction. It's kind of like radio static if you don't point it the right way for the players. And so they were kind of tweaking things out, making sure things worked for the quarterbacks and for KG. So that was interesting to kind of see the equipment guys play with that to make sure to get the sound right.
That's insane. Seriously. Don't we have better technology yet?
I don't know. And it's the first year. I don't know.
I mean, is this one of those things where you're going to have one of the communication equipment guys over there with his hand on an antenna and a leg out trying to get the proper signal?
No, I don't think it was that. I just think it was the first time in the building. They needed to figure out which way to place it. And once they got it, they figured it out. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was definitely something they worked through for a couple minutes at the start of practice.
I really want to see someone holding on to an antenna with like the leg up and stuff. That would be hilarious to me.
We'll see.
Hey, why all of a sudden are there questions at kicker?
Yeah, no questions about ability, but I know Sam Houston Sports Talk posted that Sessoms had missed both scrimmages and he also wasn't kicking when I was there. So more of a health thing. I know Sessoms had a little bit, I think, of a hamstring at the end of spring, and I think that's still kind of there. So it's not really ability. Sessoms proved he might be the best kicker in the conference last year and was picked as special teams player of the year for our roundtable picks. So not a question there. It's just a matter of health and if he can get back. And I talked to Keeler about it. He said even if they have to roll with Christian Pavon week one, that they're going to feel really confident in him. He's going to be going into his third year as the kickoff specialist. It's 5 of 6 in his career on PATs, but all those came 4 seasons ago when he was a true freshman. So he's a guy that has some experience. He actually kicked the game-winning extra point against SFA back in 2022, I believe it was, or maybe 2021. Yeah, it was 21 actually. So he showed up in big moments. So I feel confident if it is Pavon, but definitely something to monitor going into week one.
Yeah, we don't need injuries already, especially a kicker. Good Lord. Come on, Sessoms. we hope that you have a speedy recovery. We really do.
Right.
We need a kicker.
We do, but I think you feel comfortable with Pavon if you have to go with him.
I mean, yeah, and again, that's part of that FBS depth that you build up, that you can have 2 kickers that if one does get it, because again, look, things happen, hamstrings and calves and things like that, they happen.
Yeah.
You know what else happens? Every single day right now, catfans.com on Twitter is putting out about all this stuff happening in the exclusive Cat Fun section. And you yourself, Ben, even mentioned it a little bit ago, the exclusive Cat Fun section. And we got people watching live, and they want to know how they can be a part of the Cat Fun and get that exclusive information. Let them know.
Yeah, cat-fun.com right there on the screen. My producer's doing a great job. You can sign up as little as $10 a month and support the Cats. We've had so much information going out probably these past 2 weeks. We've had 2 of our 3 parts of the interview with Bobby Williams. The last part should be out end of this week or this weekend. Also talked about basketball scheduling. We posted the last couple games that are going to finish out the schedule there and what those look like. A couple unannounced games. I put together my 2 deep for football, which I think I'm going to publish tomorrow. Going into game week next week, we've had practice updates, recruiting updates. And so if you want to stay up to date with Sam Houston Athletics, it's definitely the place to be. And you get to support Sam Houston athletes.
Yeah, every dollar goes back into the athletes, and more importantly than that, it doesn't break the bank for you to be a part of this. So for as little as $10 a month, you can get access to all that inside information and know that you're helping athletes be able to just get food. You remember what it's like as a college kid? Good Lord, man, you didn't have much.
Yeah.
You have less now than we did then.
Right. And that's how we really want to help, is to be able to fill in the gaps for guys that do have a need. And we've been able to do that across multiple different sports. And we want to keep expanding. We've done football, baseball, and basketball so far. And so definitely want to keep expanding, but it takes everybody's support. So definitely sign up.
We need to get women's soccer on there now, man. They're the ones producing results.
I know. Yeah. Got to get on it.
Cat-fun.com. Go help that soccer team. They're producing results for us. Let's give them something to cheer about. You know who really cheers for the Cats?
Taylor Anderson, Eternal Roofing.
You know it, man, because he is a Sam Houston alum. He cares about Huntsville. He cares about Sam Houston and the Bearcats. He does an outstanding job with the work he does, which is roofing and general contracting. And look, we told you, no, they're not going to bother you with fast and pressurized sales. They're going to do great things inside your house, what all they can do. But let me tell you about the quality that they're going to give you. They're going to bring out CertainTeed shingles. Those are the best shingles. They are known for superior weather resistance, and then they look good as well. And if you have a commercial business, they can help you. Eternal Roofing are the specialists in commercial roofing. They can accommodate your HVAC system, any other roof equipment, while ensuring minimal disruption to your operations during the installation or repair. You want to give them a call if you're watching us live on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram. We're all three today. We didn't lie this week. Get a hold of them in the Hill Country, area code 830-251-5673. The numbers are right there on your screen. Montgomery County, area code 936-251-8539. Or send an email if you prefer. Taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. We greatly appreciate the support they give to Sam Houston Athletics and to this podcast. Taylor is a big fan of this podcast.
He is. Yep.
I'm not putting words in his mouth either. I'm just going to throw it out there.
You're telling the truth.
If there's one thing that I do sometimes, it's tell the truth.
Sometimes, yep.
Sometimes, yeah. We don't need to get into specifics around here.
No.
Well, Ben, it's that time everyone's been waiting for. This is where we go game by game. And in the end, we will have our season predictions for the Cats 2024 football team. You see the schedule on the screen if you're watching live. If not, GoBearcats.com has the football schedule. But we're going to go game by game through here and let you know. But before we do, to give you some perspective, Massey ratings. I looked. They predict the Cats finish 3-9 this year. Vegas.
See, that's surprising because most places I see, it's like there's 4 or 5 teams below us. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know if Massey is necessarily the most accurate.
Right.
But you know who is?
Who's that?
Vegas. Because they got money on the line. And when you got money on the line, you darn well better be the most accurate.
Yeah.
And they're very specific. 4.5. Thank you, Vegas.
I've got another Vegas. I was going to say, I've got another Vegas stat that I actually just saw a second ago.
What's that?
94% of money on the spread for the Sam Houston Rice game is on Sam Houston.
The spread's what, 10.5 right now?
10.5. It's the 4th highest of any game in week 1.
I mean, I'm not making a spread pick right now, but man, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's a statement more about how good people think Sam Houston will be this year, or if they think that Rice could be down.
maybe a little of both, or the spread's just bigger than people think it should be. I thought that was interesting.
Well, you do remember the Cats played BYU close last year too. So, and 10 and you get double digits. That's a big number.
Well, and I was thinking about that today. BYU, obviously the offense didn't get anything going, but you still only lost 13-0. And the year before, you played A&M to start, and I think you were a 40-point underdog. It was a 31-0 game, but there was a point there in the second quarter where you were first and goal with a chance to tie it. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
Hey, I mean, I'm not sure what Rice has, but we'll go through those game by game here in a minute. Because Vegas, like I said, they have it at 4.5. And by the way, the Cats did really well against the spread last year. We were on a lot of that too, which I believe next week is when we'll give a Rice preview.
Yep, and we've got Rice preview actually up on our Cat Fans forum. The guys over at The Roost, you might know The Roost, they sent over their 2 deep depth chart, so we posted that over on the forum this morning.
Yes, yeah, glad to see us working. And you know what? Any of these Republic of Football Network podcasts, like The Roost and stuff, man, anything we can do to work with them, I'm glad to see you are, and it makes it fun because these are the same. They're in it just like us, man.
Yep. Yep.
They're in it just like us. One thing I want to say, Vegas there is a 56.5% chance that the Cats go over the 4.5 win total based on current money line odds. That's not a lot high chance, but that's a decent amount of chance when you're talking gambling.
Yeah.
5.3% chance to win Conference USA. We're not even going to talk about that.
Sounds about
First
right.
game. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say, right? It does, like they know. All right. First game at Rice. Rice was 6-7 last year. They lost to Texas State in the first Responder Bowl. Ben, how do you have the opening game going this season?
I think we definitely can win the game, but I know what record I want to get to at the end. So I'm going to say it's a loss, but I'm going to say it's very close. I'm thinking 27-24, something along those lines.
You know, I went into this without any record in mind. I really did. Like, just game by game, let me just see what I think and where this is going. Look, Rice was a bowl team last year. Sam Houston is better, but I don't know yet that they've proven to be up there with a bowl in that bowl category just yet. They can, but I'm going to have to mark that down as a loss.
Yep, makes sense.
Then they travel to Central Florida, UCF, who was also 6-7 last year. They were in the Gasparilla Bowl. Sounds very bearish. And they lost to Georgia Tech. That is a Big 12 team, and that's one of those kind of step up in a tough place to play. Central Florida is a sneaky tough place to play, Ben. What do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, in the Bounce House, I think it's in prime time. I think that's their first home game of the year. So it's going to be a big game. They bring in KJ Jefferson, who was the starter at Arkansas last year. I think this is the one game on the schedule where I really don't think we're going to win. I think every other game you've got a shot or somewhat of a shot in. This is the one where you probably don't, which makes sense. It's a Big 12 team on the road. So I'm going to say a loss there.
I'm going to say there's more than one game that I don't think Sam Houston has a chance to win.
Okay.
And this is one of those.
Oh, yeah. We can agree on that part.
Exactly. All right. Hey, the Cats come home for the third game, and they play Hawaii, who was 5-8 last year, really struggling. Long trip to the mainland. Ben, this is the first opportunity we could really see the Cats get a victory.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be a victory. Never know what you're going to get with Hawaii. They're kind of a crapshoot. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a win, so I've got us at 1-2 through those first 3 games.
Okay, so as I went through, I marked down win, loss, or toss-up initially. This was a toss-up.
Okay.
But I end up marking it a win.
Yep.
Because I just feel that this is a game that Sam Houston is ready to win. This is a game that I'm not going to say they should expect to win. It will not be easy. It will be close, but this is a win they need when they're about to start conference play the next week. And, they have 2 straight weeks inside Bowers. They need to get that one against Hawaii. So right now we have them starting 1-2. We're right on the same path so far.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts.
Let's see how long it goes. All right. New Mexico State 10-5 last year. Lost to Fresno State in the New Mexico Bowl. But they have a new coach and a new roster and a lot of things new. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think it's a win as well. New Mexico State having to travel. I think I'm not very high on New Mexico State this year. I think they turn into more the New Mexico State pre-Jerry Kill, where it's 1-11, maybe 2-10 every year. So I'm going to say that's a win, and I'll put us at 500, 2-2.
Okay. I'm not quite ready to bury New Mexico State in the pre-Jerry Kill era just yet, because you've built up some depth and some of that is still around. Give them next year before they get back to that area. Right? I think New Mexico State could still have enough. I have them as a loss for Sam Houston. So it looks like we are now separated in that. I have them 1-3. You have them 2-2.
Yeah. And I think the one strength of New Mexico State, it's funny, they lost every starter on offense, quarterback, except their O-line. I think they returned 4 of their 5 O-linemen, but lost every starting receiver, every starting running back, their quarterback. So they do return that. I think that's the strength of the team. If they're going to win, it's going to be on the ground. I just don't think they're going to have enough, and they didn't bring in enough to be able to win. And I know they're a lot of their defensive staff was our defensive staff last year, and they left. So I think there might be a little bit of angst and hard feelings there, or maybe not hard feelings, but I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but there might be a little bit of chippiness there. You never know.
There'll be a little extra passion involved in that game. No doubt about it. Both sides are going to be very well prepared and understand, the stakes of that game, especially being the first conference game too. So that's a big one. Then we go to the H-Town Showdown at NRG against Texas State, who the Bobcats were 8-5 last year with a win over Rice in the First Responder Bowl. They've got G.J. Kinney, one of the fastest rising young coaches in all of college football. Look, the Bobcats are supposed to be even better this year. What do you think about this one, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a loss. I think it's still a game that I'd give us a 25-30% chance in. Definitely wouldn't pick us or say we're favored. But yeah, I think it's a loss. A little bit of a rivalry game. You never really know what's going to happen. Interested to see what the fan base turnout looks like. So we'll say a loss, but wouldn't be surprised to see it be close just because of that rivalry aspect. And I don't know. We'll see. But I think it is a loss.
Yes. And I'm putting this one in the category with UCF.
Ooh, I wouldn't go there.
I think Texas State's going to be that good. I really am that high on Texas State. I think that, and it's not, look, what I'm saying here isn't a shot at Sam Houston by any means. I really think Texas State is going to be that much better this year.
I think offensively they're going to be the same, if not better, and we saw how good they were last year, but I don't know how much of an improvement they made on defense, and it's a team that, I mean, they give up 77 to Arkansas State one week. So, I mean, defensively, I think they can slip up from time to time. And even the UIW teams with G.J. Kinney would give up some points, but they'd score a lot. So if you get into a shootout, you never know. But I think it's a loss, but I think it could be kept close.
Loved watching Lindsey Scott Jr. win like 66-58 over Nichols and stuff, man. That was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and then the second round game between Sam Houston and UIW when Cam Ward was their quarterback, I know Kinney – he was the next head coach after that because he was only there a year. But
yes, that was the last game for Eric Morris at UIW. Ended at the 1 yard line. I was at that one, man. What a game that was! Yeah. That was a heck of a game.
I was there. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, those UIW teams, and I think the same with Texas State. They can score a lot, but they'll give up a lot of points. So that's why I think there's still somewhat of a shot there for us.
Okay. So now we go to UTEP. They were 3-9 last year. New coach, Scotty Walden coming in. He's a rah-rah guy, and I don't always buy into the rah-rah guys. So what do you think?
I think
What
it's
do
a
you
win.
have for this one?
Yeah, I've got a win. I definitely think on paper we're a much better team. The only thing that concerns me is they come off a bye week and we're there on a 6-day week instead of a 7-day week. But I think I've told a lot of people this. UTEP is a team in 2 years. I think they're going to be pretty good. But this year, I don't know if they have what it takes. So I'm going to say it's probably like a 34-24 kind of win there on the road at UTEP.
So I put this one in the toss-up category. It was one of 2 games in the toss-up category. And I went with a loss on this one. And this is the one that I believe this game could be the difference between a bowl game and not a bowl game.
Oh, yeah.
This could be that one game. But listen, you're on the road. You're coming off a 6-day week. And UTEP has a bye week. That is very important in this. And that is where I leaned towards the Miners on that one.
We'll see. Yeah, and talking to one of the guys that covers UTEP in New Mexico, he's actually more bullish on New Mexico State this year than he is UTEP. He kind of shares the same sentiment that they're a year or 2 away, but he just doesn't really know if they're going to have it this year. So that's why I feel a little more confident in that UTEP pick. I think Scotty Walden's recruiting the heck out of the high school ranks, but it's going to take a year or 2 for that to kind of come to fruition. I just don't know if they're going to be that great this year.
I also think they do a great job of game planning.
Yeah.
I thought Scotty did a great job of that at his last stop. So I think that and he's an excellent hire, and he is a rah-rah guy, no doubt about it.
He is, yeah, and they are kind of Austin Peay 2.0, especially on the offensive side. I think they're starting running back, and 2 of their starting wide receivers are from Austin Peay, and Austin Peay was 6-5, 7-4 last year. They weren't really world beaters out there, and UTEP lost all their production. Kelly Okhtiari, I think is how you say his name. He's now the starting receiver at Mississippi State. They graduated some other guys, so you replace a not very talented group with a lot of FCS talent, not really high on that. And then you bring in Cade McConnell, who started there last year, and he was the definition of average. And so I just don't really think they have it this year.
I really think you could be right about that, but I don't feel they win both Hawaii and UTEP. I don't think they win. I have a hard time giving a team both toss-up games.
I think you have to win 2 out of the 3 with Hawaii, New Mexico State, and UTEP. You've got to win 2 of those 3, whatever that looks like.
Yes, to get a bowl game, I think you do, and I don't have them winning 2 out of 3.
So you've got 1-5, and I've got 3-3 at the halfway point.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks rough. Man, we are trending towards the under right now over here on Corey's side, aren't we?
We are.
Oof. All right. Next, they come home. They have a bye week. Sam has a bye week. Then they come and they host Western Kentucky, 8-5 last year, win over Old Dominion in the Bahamas Bowl. If Sam Houston is to make the Bahamas Bowl, I do volunteer to take on that trip for Dave Campbell's Texas football. Just want to throw that out there, call some dibs and stuff,
I hope it's in the Bahamas this year, though. Last year was played at Coastal Carolina. And I have a buddy who drove by the stadium in the Bahamas last week, and he said the stadium is it's got a long ways to go until it's playable. So hopefully it's actually played there this year.
Okay, well, if it's not played in the Bahamas, I ain't going. How about that?
Then I don't volunteer.
That's right. No more volunteers.
Right.
All right. So what's your thoughts on the Western Kentucky when the Hilltoppers visit?
Yeah, I'm going to call it a loss, but like we saw last year, I mean, it's a game that you definitely can win. I think Western Kentucky is going to take the slightest of steps back from last year. I think they were an 8-4 team. I think they're more of a 7-5 team this year, losing Malachi Corley and Austin Reed, 2 of the best players probably in program history, is a big loss, but they still have a lot of firepower out at the receiver position. So think it's going to be a really close game, but I'm going to call it a loss.
Look, I'm big on these bye weeks. I'm big on the schedule. I'll tell you why. Coaches talk a lot about that after last year, right? Every coach in the conference pretty much said the travel was brutal and that kind of the schedules were brutal playing in the middle of the week and stuff. Western Kentucky has 6 days. Sam's coming off a bye. You remember the logic I used on UTEP?
Now it's just flipped.
I used the same logic here, and I give Sam Houston a W.
All right, hey, I'll take it.
Look,
I didn't even realize that was their short week. So that, I mean, I'm going to stay with my pick, but definitely something to watch there in the middle of the season.
I'm glad to see you read the show notes.
I did read the show notes.
It says WKU plays 6 days earlier in the show notes.
Well, once I saw the schedule on there, I'm like, I know what the schedule is.
Yeah. Smart guy. All right. Hey, this one right here at Florida International, they were 4-8 last year. They both come in with the same amount of rest. So the travel in, but I mean, come on, man. It's Pit Bull Stadium. What do you think happens when the Cats go to Cats and Pit Bulls don't get along, man?
They don't. We'll see what happens, but I got it as a win. And FIU is a team that I think could be sneaky this year. They're similar to Sam Houston, that they returned a pretty decent amount of talent last year and returned their starting quarterback, who started all last year as a true freshman, in Kewan Jenkins. And so I still like us as a win. I think there's something around the Vice night there at FIU also, to where I think if they lose, they're going to be 0-5 on Vice night all time. And 3 of those previous losses have been to Texas teams. I think UTEP, North Texas, UTEP, and I forget the other school. And
we looked it up, but I forgot. That was like a few shows ago.
Right. Yeah. But they're winless on Vice night, whether that be 3 or 4 games they've had so far. So I'm going to call it a win for the Cats. And that'll have us at 4-4 for my record.
I love Vice night. The colors, the pageantry, the cars, everything about it. I also like the fact that they lose every time they do it. And it's
the
not
Texas teams, yeah.
The Texas team. So it's not going to change this year. I've got the Cats going out there and slaying the Pit Bull stadiums.
Yeah, the fighting. Maybe Pit Bull will perform after or something like, or before, or do some sort of walkout thing. I mean, dude, I'm really hoping they play into it.
I want Little John to walk out the Cats football team every game. Right?
Yeah.
That dog could yeah. Turn up to what? The Cats, man. Let's go. Yeah. All right. Next week. The next week.
So what are you at through? You're at 3-5. I'm at 4-4.
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, look, so far, second half of the schedule, I got them 2-0. I have a late kind of surge coming with the Cats here. So they start building some momentum and they head to Kennesaw State. 3-6 last year.
Well, Louisiana Tech, we go there.
I'm sorry, I just missed over. Versus La Tech. They get La Tech. 3-9 last year. They lost 6 straight in the season. Both teams, same rest between the games. And, I mean, I don't know if you saw on our Twitter page, but some La Tech fans are not real happy with Sonny Cumbie right now. Bad things going on there in La Tech, man.
Yeah, they didn't really add a ton in the portal, lost a lot. I mean, I think this year's La Tech team could be worse than last year's. I know Evan at the Go Tech Please Don't Die podcast is not very high on this team. He thinks it's like a 2, maybe a 3-win team. I think I have them 7th or 8th this year. And so you get them at home. We also don't lose to Louisiana Tech in football or basketball. Haven't lost to them yet. So we're going to keep.
Why are you going to jinx it, man?
I'm just trying to push them down a little bit more. I know we had that rivalry going last year, so just kick them while they're down. I think we win. I think we're 5-4.
Step on the grave. Yeah, no, apparently last year the Rivals reporter was banned for being too negative. Sonny Cumbie banned him from practice.
He's a good guy, too. It was funny. I was actually DMing him about something because it was the week we played them. We were just kind of going back and forth, and the thing came out that he got kicked out, and I was like, goodness. And he put him in front of the whole team too. He like publicly he literally made him stand up in front of the entire team at the end of practice and made him apologize for writing something bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it.
I don't know if Covey's even the coach by this point in the season.
If it's the truth, I'm not rescinding it.
Yeah.
And as someone who has schools close to his living area that are not fans of him or speaking truth to the situations, I understand what it's like to have people want to ban you from these things. But if it's the truth,
it's got to be put out. Well,
fix yourself.
He put it out, and then we beat him by, what was it, 14 or 17 a couple days later?
Yeah, so I have La Tech as a W as well. There's a dumpster fire going on there in Ruston. And you know what's sad about it is that's a program and why I don't know, because Ruston sucks. I mean, I've been through there in Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is about that place that always feels like they should be a football powerhouse.
Well, they used to be pretty good too. I mean, I grew up in a U of H family, and U of H was right there with Louisiana Tech in Conference USA, and Louisiana Tech was pretty good. I mean, they were never bad. It felt like they were always 6-6, 8-4 kind of team, and so to see them as down as they are, it's just been really surprising.
Have you talked to your family at all since the soccer game?
Yes.
Oh, they still talking to you. That's good.
Well, they're not that big into soccer, more football and basketball.
Okay. So last year you were mad at them, right? Is that how that worked?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Furious.
Over a football game.
Definitely should have won that one.
Yeah. At Kennesaw State, who was 3-6 last year while transitioning to FBS, Sam basically has a bye week going into this one. Kennesaw plays the week before. Ben, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we both got us coming in on 2 and 3 game winning streaks at this point. Kennesaw, I think most people are in agreement that they're probably at the bottom of the conference. You got the bye week. I think it's a win. I think they got some pieces there. Obviously, they pushed us a little bit last year for the first half. So it's not going to be a layup, but I'm going to call it a win. That'll put us at 6-4 on my end.
I have 4 wins right now. Where we stand. Kennesaw State's transitioning to FBS, same place Sam was last year, same problems. Depth is going to be an issue. Sam gets extra time off before that game. Kennesaw is in trouble.
Yeah.
Sam Houston wins that one, and Ben, I hit the over right there with 2 games left.
Yeah, 5-5 for you and 6-4 for me. So I mean, we're really not far off.
So I'm at 5 wins. Can they get to a bowl game though? And this is where we're going. You've got them in a bowl game,
right?
But now we get into crunch time at Jacksonville State. They were 9-4 last year. OT win over Louisiana in the New Orleans Bowl. I felt the Cats were in that game with them, but I also felt that Jacksonville State is a team that's really on the rise there with Rich Rod. How do you see this one going?
It was definitely one of the games you kind of choked away there at the very end. I think being at Jacksonville State is going to be tough. I think if we had them at home, I would pick us, but being at Jacksonville State, I think is going to tip it in their favor. So I'm going to go Jacksonville State. So that would put us at 6-5 on my end.
I agree. Jacksonville State on the road, that's going to be a lot to ask. So I have that one as a loss. So I'm at 5-6 right now.
Yep.
I got them at 5-6 with 1 game left. And that 1 game is in Bauer Stadium. That's the good news. The bad news, it's Liberty. The Flames come in. They were 13-1 last year. Conference USA champs, lost to Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. But do you remember? They almost lost at home to the Cats. What do you think for this year, Ben?
Didn't everybody almost lose to us last year?
Well, that was a theme running through last season.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we can compete with them. We showed it last year, and I think this is a better team. But very last week of the season, Liberty's depth, I don't really feel confident in picking us. Definitely think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to run away with it, but I think it's probably a 10 to 14 point kind of loss. They're at home, so I would have us finishing 6-6, and I'm sure you'll probably have them finishing at 5-7.
Look, Liberty is a very solid FBS program. They're established. They've come up through the ranks of FCS all the way up there, and they're just more established than Sam Houston is. And really, if you look at it, they probably have a roadmap that Sam Houston should maybe look at as the how to get up there for the football program, because Liberty has done a great job in their transition to FBS. And I agree. I think it's too much. I'm going 5-7 this year, but I am going over.
You are.
I'm going over this year.
Yep. And last year you went under.
I did, and last year I hit the number right on the head last year.
You did. Yep.
I'm just I got to tell you, I'm afraid if it comes down to those last two games, that's just too much. Those two teams may be the two of the best teams in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the two best, like you said. And I've got us at 6-6, but and I've set the window for the season 5-7 to 7-5. I don't think we go below 5 wins. I don't think we go above 7. So I've got a 6-6, kind of lines up right in the middle of it. I definitely think there is a scenario where you can steal a Rice or steal a Western Kentucky or maybe a Jacksonville State. You could maybe steal one of those three and get to 7-5, but feel confident in 6-6. Like I said, I think the window is still 5-7 to 7-5.
You win that UTEP game, and you're 6-6 by my predictions.
Yep.
Which, by the way, my predictions matter absolutely none in what happens this season. Not at all. But I do want to say I have them 4-4 in Conference USA, and that's a really good improvement.
It is, yeah. Last year you were 2-6, and so you double your win total in conference.
If you, as a fan, this is your first full season at FBS now, first season with full scholarships. Things are still developing. You're not there yet. I don't think it's fair to expect the team to be there. But I think if you hit the over this year, if you get 5 wins, yes, you want that 6th. I get it. The bowl game would be great. But I think you would be happy with 5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely hurt to not get to 6. Maybe you get in if there's not enough teams and you get to go in as a 5-7 team. But going from 3 wins to 5 wins is an improvement. And to be right there in the middle of the pack in the conference, second year in the conference, first full year as an FBS team, I mean, you can't really be upset with that. It sets yourself up for future success. And so I wouldn't mind 5-7, but obviously would really like to get to 6-6, and I think we can get there.
I do see a path. That is not something I really expected to say when I sat down to look at the schedule.
Yep.
I see a legitimate path to a bowl game.
Yep. And last year, I think you were reaching for 3 wins. It felt like
yeah. And so it's hard, man. FBS football is hard. It's hard to be at that level. It takes so much. And I have a kind of a mid-season romp right there. But, again, I do expect the depth even though the depth is much better, it still wears down when you get to Jacksonville State and Liberty the last 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, because in all reality, their third-string team is probably better than our third-string team. You're going to be seeing a lot of third-string, second-string guys there at the end. And even though there is more depth, the bottom of their depth is probably still a little more elevated than the bottom of our depth. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
The good news is I think the Cats are much better than a lot of teams in the Conference USA.
Yeah, at least 4. And you don't play Middle Tennessee. That's the one team you don't play, which probably makes sense because of the brawl that happened at the end of last season. But I think Middle Tennessee is a team you would beat also. Obviously.
Oh, I don't know about that one, man.
Well, it is a new coaching staff. There's not a lot left from that Middle Tennessee team. I think they're a team similar to UTEP. It's going to take them a year or two. I think they're definitely ahead of where UTEP is right now because I really like their quarterback. But even if you play Middle Tennessee, I think we're slightly better than them. So that puts us 5th out of 10 teams in my eye. 4th, 5th.
Hey, I would accept it. Look, the show went a little longer than normal. And so for those of you still watching or listening, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And hopefully we leave you with a little more positivity about the Cats this year. The numbers are a little better. The feeling is a little better this year than it was this time last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you bringing all that knowledge, man. Without you, we do not have a show. Without all these listeners, watchers, viewers, we also don't have a show. So thank you all very much for joining us. And now that the producer finally figured out how to be live on Twitter, expect us live on Twitter at 4:00 each Wednesday that we have a show, especially through this football season. We will be back next week, the 28th of August at 4 p.m. with another live show on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you want us on Facebook, we need you to go follow the page over. I don't care. Listen, do me a favor. For those of you who are watching on Twitter right now, I understand you might not have a Facebook, or you might not have checked it in a while. I don't care. I don't care if you ever get on there again, but get on one more time and go like the page. So as soon as we get 100 followers, we're going live on Facebook too.
Create a couple burners.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Hey, I got a couple Facebook burners so I can go follow some pages and get those counts up too, man.
Oh, yeah. When you see those random names pop up on the follower list, you'll know they're Corey's burners.
Nah, well, look, I don't know that anyone would. What's funny is that my personal page would look like a burner page because you would not find my name in there at all.
Oh, goodness. Everybody go find Corey. That's the mission this week.
Good luck. You can find my public page. My public page is very sportsy.
Yeah. The private one, we don't know. We got to find it.
Dude, that private page is all over the place. It is a wealth. It's like my brain explodes out on Facebook sometimes with the crap that I find and put on there.
I can't wait to find it.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to try. Once again, we say thank you. We will be back next week. And until we return, Ben, take us out with some positivity for these Cats.
Eat 'em up, Cats. See you next week for game week. Get your minds right.
Get your mind right.